Tim Thomerson, Tracy Scoggins, and Melissa Baer.
Pop goes the weasel.
Dollman versus the demonic toys.
Hey, this is another paid request for Dan. Thank you so much for that. And for those that are interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, this is actually a sequel that you wanted me to review. It's a sequel to this movie, Dollman. I don't have the Blu-ray to this sequel, though, so I had to watch it online. But it was called Dollman vs. Demonic Toys. Now, how do I do? Well, there's not much to describe. In technicality, which I can't speak right, it's a bad movie. It is. I'm not ranting on it, and I'll get to why in a minute. But if you look at it, Dollman vs. Demonic Toys is a bad film. And the fact that it's barely 1 hour long. A good chunk of that is footage from 3 other films to fill out the running time. The effects are various times very spotty. The plot, good luck with that. And in a way, if they got their shit together and they scrounged out a bit more money and they planned things out a bit more in advance, they could have been something kind of fun in a B-movie level, meaning this merging of their characters and their properties. Because you think about Full Moon Entertainment, you know, all these properties they owned. I mean, they're not a lot of times the mainstream, but they own Trancers, they owned, you know, the Castle Freak, a little bit of that, and Puppet Master, and Demonic Toys, and here Dollman, okay, this other one, Bad Channels, Dr. Mordred, like all this stuff here. If they actually planned on it, hell, they could have had their own fucking Marvel Universe type of thing, where all these characters kind of went in and out and in between and merged with each other. And I guess the original idea was it going to be Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys, but then they got some idea for Puppet Master 4, and then they made Puppet Master 4 and 5 back to back, and that came out in succession. And so, okay, let's throw Dollman in there, because Tim Thomerson, I love Tim Thomerson. Dollman sadly was not a film that did that well. I still don't get why, because I think it's their best film. I still think this is their best Full Moon Entertainment movie. Maybe it's not saying much, but I still believe that. But I remember I first saw the sequel. It was around 2004, give or take. I was living in another part of Texas, and there was a store called Hastings, which to this day is the best store I ever went to in my life. Because I went to this store, and it was as big as a shop. I was going to say shopping, like, well, maybe not as big as Walmart, that's going too far, but it was a sizable store where whatever you could think of to rent, you could rent. You could rent Rambo cartoon DVDs and the 2003 Ninja Turtles cartoon on DVD. Find other rental stores that did that, and Intruder, where Intruder you could barely find, but there was Intruder, the uncut version, on DVD to rent. And like they had tons of VHS to rent, and then they had like CDs, and people would sell CDs, and you would find all these soundtracks and magazines and just a shitload of stuff. And I'm looking through it, and I'm like, what the hell? Dollman vs. Demonic Toys? What the hell is this? Like, I grew up Dollman, but I didn't know there was another Dollman movie. And he was fighting some creatures. I mean, I wish it was Dollman versus Puppet Master. I think that would have been cooler. I think that's what should have been in retrospect. Should have been Dollman versus Puppet Master, but that's just me. And then watching it, I remember being disappointed, but there's that part of me that did not want to succumb to that because, oh, it's Dollman. Wow, there's another Dollman movie. But I mean, it was great to see Tim Thomerson. I just still watch it for Tim Thomerson. He's still a fun cult actor, that Bruce Campbell type of cult actor that still doing his Dirty Harry type of impression. I mean, he blows up Jack in the Box and goes, "Pop goes the weasel." First he says, "Eat this," blows it up, "Pop goes the weasel." And he says it was such a straight face, and it's very entertaining to watch. Tim Thomerson blow the shit out of these asshole annoying toys. But I mean, really, if you add it all up, that could be like 5 minutes. That doesn't mean it's a good movie. But it's funny. Like the setup of it. Let me try to explain. Dollman, I guess after this film, he found out about this little nurse that was shrunk by aliens from another film called Bad Channels. And so he's going up to see her. And then he did like a pretty good opening credit scene. It seemed like more time was spent on the opening credit scene than the movie itself. Because the opening credit scene is actually really cool. Which I remember when I first saw this, it lied to me. Because like, wow, okay. Like, there's a sign and the credits are on the sign and it doesn't look that cheap compared to the shit they do nowadays. It's still that music from Dollman, which I enjoy. I think it's a really good score. But then it's like not the exact same. It's different because it's put in other. Like it's introducing the girl, so there's a little bit of a like almost romantic beat to it, and then it's blending the Demonic Toys theme to it. So it's not just a copy and paste of the theme from this. I mean, okay, they actually reworked the music and the theme, and they're putting like all the characters in a mix, and there's like these glasses that are coming into. We're up close, it's being pulled away, and you see all these images among the sunglasses. I'm like, okay, there's actually some time, energy, editing into this opening credits. Why wasn't more of the movie like this? And this was a movie that's very cheap. Dirty D's done dirt cheap. I mean, Tracy Scoggins, after Demonic Toys, I just had the kid because she was pregnant. That's one thing I forgot to mention in that review. She was pregnant, the character. So she has a kid off screen. The delivery guy, he just left. He doesn't want to be a part of this. And Tracy Scoggins is now back in the same toy store and the same shit's going on. So it felt like nothing was really resolved in the first Demonic Toys. So it seemed like the whole thing was pointless, that movie. And she just happens to be at the exact same toy store. Only the security guard is not a fat guy this time. It's Phil Fondacaro. And if you don't know who that is, it's a little guy who worked in a couple of these films. He was also in Troll. He was in Willow. He was, I think, one of the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. I remember him from Ghoulies 2. If you ever seen Ghoulies 2, the one at the carnival, there's our lead guy, the girl, and the little guy. He's the little guy. I always liked him as an actor. It was always cool to see him in a movie, because I grew up with him in films like Ghoulies 2 and such. So, okay, yeah, they got him in here. But it's a lot of laziness. I mean, there's a lot of the inciting incident is a drunk who went into this factory, is riding a tricycle, hits a box at 0.0003 miles per hour, falls from a tricycle, a box lands on him, and somehow that killed him, and his blood pools on the floor. That must have been one hell of a fucking box. What was in the box? Bowling balls? So while that, and then Tracy's Guardians, she knows something's up, but then she gets arrested. Then she hears about these little doll people and thinks that's the best weapon. Now, granted, if you're going a bit, let's think about this. If you're going up against someone who's this tall, right? Wouldn't the better weapon be someone like me, who could be like, you know, do this, like, wouldn't that be the better weapon? Like, bite his fucking head off. But I mean, no. Meanwhile, Dollman has found this nurse, Ginger was her name, Melissa Bear, who's there for eye candy, and she's beautiful eye candy. She was in that. Bad Channels was a film where its main note is it has music from Blue Oyster Cult. Blue Oyster Cult did the soundtrack for it. About these aliens and music and kidnapping women into these little glass tubes. And I think that's why I kind of didn't mind the film when I first saw it, and I can kind of watch it now, because, like, Demonic Toys, I'm never going to watch that again. And by that time, I had never seen Demonic Toys when I first saw it. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting all this info on Demonic Toys. That's good enough for me. Then I did all this setup for Bad Channels. Never saw it, so it was new to me. So I'm like, okay, here's batch of footage that's new. Again, it's news to me. I'd never seen those films before. At the time I'd seen it. And it's like, well, I'll just, instead of watching those films again, I'll just watch this highlight stuff and be done with it. But when I'm talking about, like, the spotty effects, like, they're able to afford, like, a stop-motion spider, unless they stole that from one of their other movies. Maybe they did, I don't know. But, and Dollman shoots it. But you look at the background where it's supposed to look like their level, and, like, you look at the plate with toast. I'm like, a plate with toast, like, to be that big, that means that the plate would have to be, like, this big, with a, and, like, the calendar, like, this is how big they are, and the calendar is, like, maybe this tall, it would have to be. There's a lot of things that are not really in the best proportion. It's kind of laughable on that front. And then Tracy's Guardians gets their help. I don't know why the nurse comes along. What's she gonna do? Maybe know why did she come along in the first place? But I guess because I'm gonna come along in case this cop tries to steal you away from me. I'm like, okay. Type of nurse I want. And, like, Tracy's Guardians character gets killed, which was lame. Because I'm like, wow, like, she survived the first Demonic Toys and she dies like a kind of a crappy death. Although Sally's worth more dignity than the way they kill off characters nowadays. But still, it's like, you didn't need to do that. You could have just had them injured. And, like, you could have just easily had them injured. They go to the hospital, and that's that. They're injured. The cops are there. They take her away. She can't say anything. Like, you could have done it another way. Like, the Demonic Toys here, like, the baby, Oopsie Daisy, whatever the hell. I would say the voice in this works better than Demonic Toys. Because Demonic Toys felt like a lady trying to sound mean. While here, it felt like a voice actor. Although, he sounded like... I swear... God, what... It was on the tip of my tongue. What do I say he sounded like? Here we go. I don't know, sound like some of the Gremlins or something. Or when they try to talk. Not the one in Gremlins 2, but I don't know, just there was something else to remind me of. I can't remember, but I was thinking that voice felt like it fit better. And it's more of the toys themselves, while in Demonic Toys you have more of the boy who's a demon. Here the toys are a little bit front and center. And like I said, when Tim Thomerson, he has a couple fun lines and he's in on the joke. Like when they have him tied up and they're talking about how they're going to bring back the master. And Tim Thomerson says, and who's the master? A fucking Ken doll? Okay, that got a genuine laugh out of me. And it's, you have the Jack in the Box left. You have the coming back. You have the baby one coming back. You have the robot one coming back. You don't have the bear. They went for this like G.I. Joe Duke Nukem looking guy. It'd be like if you took Duke Nukem and made him a G.I. Joe with bug eyes. And they did that because they wanted to have scenes where, you know, Tim Thomerson and the guy faced. And so you just, okay, put a guy in a suit, fight. And you know, that's the spotty effects when they're trying to have the big version when it's the actors in the same vein. They're not really looking the same as. You can tell they just had no money for this. I can consider how short it is. And I just say, like, man, if you, like, don't make so many fucking movies. Like, hey, these other 4 movies that don't need to be made, just don't make them and put all the money into this. I mean, like, let's see if I can get it. They could have done this. Dollman kills the full moon universe. Which the show real quick for Dan may not know this. There are these comics. Now, technically there's 6 of them. I would recommend just getting the first 5. Because the 6th one, I didn't really care for the 6th issue. So you could just get the 5 of them. But it's pretty much Dollman decides to kill, you know, the full moon universe. Kind of like Deadpool. So, like, for example, he's, you know, remember that, who was this guy? Head of the family, remember that? Head of the family. So, you have Dollman pushes his ass off a fucking roof. And you have, like, here's the robot, and Dollman shoots it. Pop, pop, pop. This is where he burns the motherfucker. Again, if you ever get this, I recommend the first 5. Again, the 6th one, they try to do some retcon stuff that wasn't needed. So, like the first 5 would suffice. So you have this one where he takes on the puppets and Castle Freak. The puppets he pretty much controls to try to get them to kill each other, and then he fucks up Castle Freak creature. He battles monsters from Creepazoids, and he has a visit with Dr. Mordred. That was their Doctor Strange type of movie with Jeffrey Combs. He fucks up, you know, Killjoy and some of these fucking films I'd never even heard of, but I'm like, fuck, is Dollman? Wow, they made Dollman comics? And here it takes a lot of motherfuckers here. So, again, like I said, you really just need the first 5 and you'd be set. But yeah, they could have done this. Like, imagine like a movie of this. I would see it, and you could be like a what if movie. Hey, what if? What if Dollman killed everybody in the Full Moon universe? I would see that movie. Fuck, you could do that nowadays. There you go. But that's what I mean, like, they had this opportunity and they just squander it, and like this, it would have been nicer to just see like a Dollman 2 if that's the case. If you can't do it properly. A proper Dollman 2 or Dollman versus Puppet Master, which were more popular at the time. I guess that was the time Puppet Master creatures were becoming more good guys. Because you had Puppet Master 3 where they were good guys. Then they later on did Puppet Master for Demonic Toys. That's a total piece of shit. With Corey Feldman. At the end of the day with this film, I know I'm going all over the place. Positives. Why I could watch the film. Tim Thomerson is having fun. He's having a ball. I'm a big Tim Thomerson fan. That helps a lot with me. It helps a lot with me when I have a lead that I like and care. I wish there was a lot more to it, of course. But he has some fun lines. Some badass moments. It's just that he had very, very low budget. It is very short. I like the opening credit music. But I mean, that's why I said at the beginning, it is a bad film. In the fact of, even with footage from 3 movies, like they show footage from the first Dollman when he tells his backstory. You show footage of. It would be interesting for someone to see that film who's never seen any of that stuff. And so this is footage that would be new to them and be like, oh wow, cool, what's that? Like people get blown up and blah blah blah. Like, well, yeah, it's new to them, so that would give maybe a better fun store, perhaps. Entertainment value. But again, the spotty effects, the proportions, and trying to stuff to be miniaturized. The story kind of seems like kind of a repeat of the first Demonic Toys, but then, you know, the sets are very basic. It's either a bunch of boxes or these vents. It's like shot in one warehouse, probably in downtown LA. Probably the Full Moon office. Looked like it was shot in 5 days. Again, you just kind of wish you would take them to the side. Guys, just calm down. Just wait a minute. I mean, I love the poster. I think the poster looks really cool. I wish there was one where someone did that, but it was Dollman shooting the puppets from Puppet Master. But even this looks pretty cool. Like, this is pretty cool. Like, there's Dollman on the top of it, and you know, like, this is the Dollman sequel I wish we had. That would have been really cool. Again, except for the 6th issue. Because it's not like they don't kill him off or anything. It's just, again, they try to do a little bit of retcon of what had just happened, and it's like, it wasn't needed. They pretty much did that because they had other Full Moon comic books that they want to go for with series. So it's like, well, they can't really be killed off. Kind of like a lot of these like a lot of other comic books. We can't really kill that person off. We want to make more stories with them. You can't really kill that person off. You can't really kill them off. It's like, well, fuck it, just make a what-if story. That's why I make my own version. I have this, and I took the 6th issue, and I just ripped out a couple pages. I ripped out the cover, which is like parody of the X-Men comic. That's Jet Death. So 2 Tim Thomersons for the price of 1. And then I just kept the first being with Jet Death. A little bit of Jet Death. One of those transfers that Dollman fucks with. And then relaxing on the beach, which is a nice ending for Dollman. Relaxing on the beach. So I just keep that, and that's the ending. And then, if you're wondering, issue 5, this is how it ends with, he called people in to fuck them up, and then to see people, and one last moment. Which, there you go. I mean, you just ended with that. There you go. But I know I'm talking more about the comic, but I figured Dan sent in a request for Dollman, Demonic Toys, and Dollman vs. Demonic Toys, so I figured I would show him this in case he might never even knew about this. But yeah, Dollman vs. Demonic Toys, like I said, it's short. It's a lot of footage from 3 films. There's a lot of stuff that I think could have been done different. I just still enjoy it because it's short. It doesn't take too much of my time. There's some B-movie charm to it, with Melissa Bear being gorgeous. Tracy Scoggins, I do like. I don't mind her as an actress for what she needs to do. Tim Towerson has some fun lines, shoots the shit out of a couple things. It's very low standards, I will admit, but I did some B-movie charm. But at the same time, that's not a film I can defend either. I can't defend that movie. Like, this to me is more of a proper film than the sequel. But, the sequel I did get some charm. I would like to pick up on Blu-ray one day, just for the collection. Because I think I have this on a DVD I can't find. That has a bunch of them on the same disc. But I wouldn't mind picking the sequel up separately. I don't think it has any features. Well, like, this has a couple features. I don't think that one does. And that one, the sequel was directed by Charles Band. Like, this is directed by Albert Pyon, who did Sword and the Sorcerer, and Cyborg with Van Damme, and Nemesis. Charles Band is not a good director. I mean, there's some films he's done I like, Trancers for one, but I don't think he's that great of a director, I'll say that. Maybe at times he could be competent, like the first Trancers, but again, I think he did. I can't remember if he did any of the sequels to Trancers. Maybe he did Trancers 2. And I didn't mind that one, but at least it helps I'm a big Tim Thomerson fan, but yeah. There's a lot of issues you bring up with the film, to be fair. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.